I just realized my mic is live. That's okay. That's okay. I thought I was muted, but I am not muted. So let me turn on ducking and flip over. So hello world. We're gonna mark some Bennu. Because we need to mark some Bennu. Was going to start earlier, but one neighbor was mowing their lawn. Another neighbor was is working on their roof. And you know, these things happen. These things totally happen. So we're just gonna mark some Bennu and move on with life. And I realize you can't see what I'm marking. Look at me. There we go. Realized I don't like how that looks. So we're gonna set you to the doggos. So yes, I can hear you. Or yes, I can read your things. And I am going to fix this. Because I was like, it's broken. But I guess it wasn't broken. I guess it wasn't broken after all. That should do the trick. There we go. Now we're mapping Bennu. I just turned the doggy cam off because they're not super cooperative. Oh, but they're there. They don't feel like stealing souls. Actually, what they've learned is that if they're off screen, I will toss them Cheerios to get them on screen. Let's see. 2, 3. Yeah, we can mark that as a rock. There's a lot of these that can really be marked as a rock. So I'm just erasing some of my boulder lines because some of these can just be marked as rocks. That's actually not one that can be marked as a rock. Hey, Paranor, how you feeling? Almost 4-hour nap. Oh, at least your neck and back have loosened up. I like long naps. I don't like being woken up from long naps. Favorite human hasn't really learned that if I clonk out early just to leave me alone, and then I wake up grouchy, and he has to deal with, you know, grouchy Annie. Degenerative joints don't get, hopefully I won't, ever? We'll see. We'll see about that. Oof. I'm just trying to rearrange my body in the chair. Yeah, that would definitely help. Your system not metabolizing pain medication can be problematic. Daily space went well. There's a whole lot of launches happening this week. So many launches this week. Oh my goodness. Like between today and Wednesday. 2 Chinese launches, a SpaceX launch, which is, you know, kind of big because it's a Falcon Heavy. No, Light Sail isn't tomorrow. Tomorrow is AT&T satellite and UTEL's satellite. Tomorrow's Arianespace. The Falcon Heavy launch has the Light Sail on it. And tomorrow... Yeah, no, tomorrow is the... is the telecon for Light Sail. Hey, DPI, welcome back. So, I know, so many launches, oh my goodness. But yeah, no, tomorrow at the normal daily space time is the telecon for Light Sail, and I have the credentials to join in, and I've figured out the technology to join in. So we... excuse me. So we should be joining in and listening and all that other stuff. DPI says, I have the credentials and the means and I am not afraid to use them. It was actually Dr. Pamela that's like, hey, sign up for this. And I'm like, okay. So I sent an email and they're like, cool. Like, we just need your credentials. I'm like, CosmoQuest PSI? Because I keep forgetting that I work for PSI. Which sounds weird, but when you work from home, when you work remotely, and you interface usually with just Dr. Pamela, it's easy to forget, oh yeah, we're attached to PSI. Because I got so used to being like, okay, you know, our previous institution, ASP, was just our, you know, to me it was just that, a host institution. But it's a little different now because when CosmoQuest was at ASP, I was getting paid through YSU. We still say that we're working in conjunction with YSU because my microphone that I use is owned by YSU, and I still have office space at YSU, and I'm still considered staff at YSU. So, and yes, we are very happy with PSI. They definitely do, like, I have PSI business cards, and I can go and get PSI like logoed merch. I have to pay for, you know, some of it, but I get up to whatever free. So, and I keep meaning to do that. Like, I have my own little webpage on PSI. Yeah, it's a lot, and I'm just, part of me is like, even though we've been with PSI for several months, like, I usually just stay in Ohio because I'm not, that should be a rock, not a boulder. I usually just stay in Ohio because I am not full-time. Therefore, I don't, get funding to go to all the in-person meetings and stuff. And a lot of the synopsis meeting thingies they have are while I'm doing daily space. So it's really cool. It's different. And here I thought they were done working on the house next door. And everybody there has been awesome, and they have been awesome at being like, well, here's a project with funding that you can work on. So that's pretty cool. That is all pretty cool. And Matt and Dr. Matt Richardson was working at PSI before, and he's still there. So we've had ties with PSI for a while. Sandlin, yeah, I'm kind of assimilated into the family a little. I definitely do need to provide them with pictures of me that I like, and because they will just use random pictures that they find on the internet, and I'm like, I hate this photo. This photo's like 10 plus years old. I hate this photo. So but yeah. But they're pretty awesome about having people work remotely, and yeah, they're pretty cool people in general. I am pretty happy where we are now. And I keep marking boulders that I should be marking as rocks. And I know some of you are like, but why aren't you marking it as, why are you marking as a boulder? Anything 3 dots across or less is a rock. So I'm just gonna kind of scooch these extra marks off to the side. Which, to me, in my head, it should be a whole lot of, smaller, but I'm trying to, go with our rules. Yes, I suffer from minimalism as well. I know, right? You alright over there, bud? I know, you're itchy. Cat needs new flea treatments. We'll just blame it on the cat, okay, bud? Don't look at me like that. Yes, I could mark Bennu with you in my lap, but you are very fluffy and you throw off the white balance. Just power through these. So today, happy Juneteenth. If you were like me and lived under a rock for the longest time, Juneteenth is essentially, it's called Freedom Day. It is not a federally recognized holiday. It is recognized in 46 states and the District of Columbia, and it is essentially a commemoration of the date which, I forget which general, but news reached Texas and Texas slaves that they were free. The Emancipation Proclamation had been issued a year and a half prior, but it's kind of, news traveled slowly because, don't have all these high-tech things. I'm not entirely too sure if the telegraph was in play at that point. It may or may not have been. And so news traveled slowly, and usually with messengers. Messengers may have been, quite frankly, killed beforehand. And there's some people that believe plantation owners wanted to get one more cotton harvest out of the slaves, and it's really hard to enforce laws in states that are rebelling. So yeah, or during wartime. So yeah, it took a year and a half after the Emancipation Proclamation for news to reach the slaves in Texas, and they pretty much, the announcement was actually like, stay where you are, you'll get paid, But a lot of former slaves were like, nope, we're gonna nope right out of this, and they went and, you know, changed their names, got legally married, because families were often torn apart. I'm sure some tried to reunite with their children. Things of that nature. And, you know, have parties. Essentially just be people instead of being treated as subhuman. And it didn't really catch on. It was celebrated first in Texas, and it didn't really catch on. It took a while to catch on. Actually, no, it caught on pretty quickly, I feel. But there was a period of time when it just wasn't celebrated because the oppression was so bad, and why celebrate when the world just feels like it's out to get you? But that seems to be turning in recent decades, and I think it's been a couple years since a state has recognized, because I don't remember when the last state recognized Juneteenth. But yeah, this was not something I ever learned about in American history when I was in school. It's not something I learned about in American history in college even. So yeah, there's that. But yeah, so today is Happy Juneteenth. I know a bunch of former slaves in Texas, I think for the first celebration, actually pooled their money together because they couldn't gather anywhere in public. They pooled their money together and bought a chunk of land, and they called it Emancipation Park, and that's where they had their celebrations. And Big Red soda is often a part of common day celebrations because it was something that former slaves couldn't have. It was considered really fancy, you know, strawberry soda, or exotic. So it's part of some celebrations, but there have been people that have been trying to dial back on that because it's soda, it's full of sugar, it's super unhealthy. But there's a Juneteenth celebration in Maine for a bunch of texpats that they call themselves, and somebody actually brings up a truckload of Big Red from Texas, because Big Red is actually not a soda you can get in all 50 states. So I thought that was interesting. I figured I'd share it. I will freely admit that I did not know what Juneteenth was until a couple years ago. And I don't think it was until last year that I was really educated on it. Big Red is a chewing gum as well. It is a chewing gum as well. But this is Big Red soda. The Big Red chewing gum is cinnamon flavored, and Big Red soda, I guess, is strawberry. I guess it's a strawberry cream soda. It's a red cream soda. So, but it's not just strawberry soda. It's like cream soda with some strawberry with potentially other stuff. So there are people that are really, that really crave this stuff. So I think part of me is like, other than marking a whole bunch of rocks, this image is actually indeed one of the nicer images. I'm glad you learned so much this week. I was a little apprehensive about being like, oh, all happy Juneteenth, because yes, I am white. But it is important. You didn't know what Orange Julius was. And now Juneteenth, yeah. Juneteenth is pretty neat. And pretty important. And the fact that I lived under a rock for so long and didn't know what it was, because Favorite Human and his buddies will call up each other and message each other on, June 19th and be all, happy Juneteenth. And I'm like, I think it was last year, I was like, what's Juneteenth? And I had it explained to me. So, yeah. Lots of rocks. But yeah, I felt a little unsure about it, and then I was like, nope, I'm just gonna spring it on him. Yes, you may ask a non-space related question, because I'm just kind of sitting here jabbering away. You might as well. Paranor says, Canada is going through a late-term reconciliation with its native peoples. Yes. U.S. is kind of struggling with that, too. I know U.S. and Canada definitely have that in common. I have a friend that's a Canadian native, and he'll tell me things like, about whispers that have gone on the res about people disappearing. Yeah, every peoples have some of it, not the past. So DPI asks, what is all of this mess about journalists trying to call concentration camps detention camps? So I think you got that a little backwards, and it's detention camps being called concentration camps. And the reason why journalists are calling the detention camps along the US and Mexico border concentration camps is because of the conditions. There were a lot of beds available in places that were being run by Department of Health and Human Services, maybe? But they were run by a governmental group that was not military. And now what they're doing with a lot of these military, a lot of the housing is that they're moving it onto military bases, which is Homeland Security, thank you. So Homeland Security has all these barracks that are empty that could be used, and they would have journalists and civilians would have more free access to them because you don't have to go through security on military bases. But they're moving a lot of these places over into military bases, from what I've read, which is problematic because military bases are a restricted area. I can go onto a military base because I have a military ID. A lot of journalists don't have this, and if you don't have a pass or a reason for being on the base, it's very difficult to get access. Because some bases are more open than others. That's kind of just how it is. You definitely have to present ID in order to go onto a base. That's absolute rule number one. And so that's problem number one. Another problem is just the conditions. And they have spots that they call like the yard or the dog pound. I'm not sure which, but it's a fenced-in area with no protection from the elements. So they're out in the sun, or if they're in that thing overnight, they're out overnight, and it gets cold in deserts overnight. And so that's one problem. These are just people that are just out exposed to the elements. And then another problem is the ice boxes, which is the indoor portion. I mean, never mind the separation of parents and children, never mind removal of medication and food, never mind all that. They're moving these people from a very hot environment into a very cold, air-conditioned environment, because Americans are also like infamous for really, really turning up the air conditioning past the point that it's comfortable. So they shuffle people into this, and then a lot of people just get sick and die. Another problem is that they don't refer to these people as people or even humans, they refer to them as bodies. And possibly some other subhuman terms, just bodies. So that's some other problems. Paranor has more information in the chat. Paranor says, big reason also is why they're being put in these camps, very similar to the reasons why people were put into concentration and internment camps. Many children have died already because of the conditions. So anyone that's not American can come to the US and claim it and seek asylum. That doesn't mean you'll be granted asylum, and it doesn't matter how you get here. You can get here legally on a tourist visa and then claim asylum. You can cross the border illegally and then claim asylum. This is not something that's uncommon. For a number of years, there have been people fleeing Cuba, like, on boats, and the rule there was if they made it to land, they could seek asylum. And there's actually a whole different set of rules for people coming from Cuba seeking asylum than anywhere else. And how do I word this? So another misconception is that all of these people crossing at the border is the main source of so-called illegal immigration. It's not. Most people come over on airplanes, and they come over with visas, and nothing happens when you overstay your visa. You can't re-enter the country. But in general, nothing happens. Nobody comes and knocks on your door. Nobody tells you, okay, you have to leave. Just your legal presence in the country has ended. So, yeah, you're considered out of what's called out of status, and you have to do a number of things to get back in status. And some people don't ever do, which is why they're considered undocumented. Because a lot of places require you to have a social security number or a tax ID to work. A lot of places check your citizenship, things of that nature. Like, it's very difficult to be undocumented. Ohio, you cannot get a driver's license if you are undocumented. When my Kenyan graduate student buddies got their driver's license, it was only good for as long as the paperwork that allowed them to be at the university was good, and or it had to be renewed every year, which is what's the word? Which I'm trying to think, how often do I have to renew my license? I think I have to renew my license every 3 to 4 years, and she would have had to do hers every 1 to 2. So, yeah. As Paranor says, it is a deep rabbit hole of a subject. ICE is also putting legal residents into these camps just for being non-citizens, primarily of a non-white color. And U.S. immigration is no joke. Even coming here as a visitor is no joke. You have to get biometrics done. You have to go to an in-person interview. That's not for all countries, but that's for countries or areas like Hong Kong, Brazil, Kenya. Like, they don't mess around with this. It is very, very difficult and expensive to get into this country. So yeah. And kind of the flip side is, it's because it's so difficult to get in, the people that overstay, that want to, continue to stay here legally, they're just like, I guess I'm not going home. And in Kenya, if you tell somebody that you're going to the US, say for a graduation, your employer might just be like, well, I'm terminating you because you're obviously never coming back. Whether or not that was ever your intention. So, yeah. Yeah. It's... US immigration is no joke. A lot of Americans don't understand how difficult it is. They think it's just super easy to prance right into the country. Because if you have a US passport, there are a lot of countries that you can essentially just prance right into without a visa. A lot of Americans don't understand the concept of applying for a visa. The visas that I've had to apply for, which was only... No. I've had to apply for other visas. I've applied for 2 visas, right? I've applied for one to go to Brazil, which Brazil had and may still have a reciprocal policy where I paid like an outrageous amount of money for a multi-year, multi-visit, multi-year meaning it was good for multi-years, a multi-visit visa, but I was able to apply through that by filling out a form and mailing off my passport. When I went into China, I had to go in person, but that was because it was last minute. So, yeah. If you're from a European country, it would have been relatively painless, especially if you came here on a visitor visa. If you came here on a student visa, the amount of work you have to do is definitely different. You have to prove that you're healthy, you have to prove that you have no criminal record, things of that nature. So, hello, Drop Bear Antics. But yeah, immigration to the US is no joke. Visiting, if you're from the EU, is not so bad. It's not so bad if you're from Canada. And I think if you're from Mexico and you're literally just visiting, I don't think you're going to have much of a problem, but you know, if you're not white, you're going to have problems. I hate saying that, but it's true. So, yeah. Anyway, that's part of the rabbit hole of US immigration. In comparison, Canadian immigration looks super easy. Super easy. I'm annoyed because Favorite Human and I are going to have to take an English language proficiency test, and I'm like... But I've talked about teaching English overseas, and now I have to take a test that proves... But it's literally just to get through one of the immigration systems faster. So, we need passports first. And yeah, the honest truth sucks. And I'm not shy about talking about immigration. Oh crap, I'd suck at taking the English language test. Yeah, we have to prove that we're fluent. Which seems silly because that's both of our first languages. He does not speak, read, understand any other language aside from English. There's part of me that's like, if I studied my French more, I could take the French proficiency exam and we could try to go into Quebec, but his French is poor to non-existent. And I really struggle with understanding Quebecois. I can pick up and understand the European French accent, but when I hear Quebecois being spoken, because when I lived in upstate New York, that was actually not all that uncommon. I knew it was French, but I couldn't understand what was being said. So, yeah. Yeah. He wants to go to BC, but BC is expensive. It would be easier if you could switch Quebecois with Patois. Maybe. Now, he would love to go to BC, but BC's probably expensive. And there's a whole system of like points based on what kind of industry you work in and things like that nature. Which I looked at it and I freaked out because I'm like, I don't know how to categorize what I do. And I need to get my act together and start coding. Science education wasn't really a thing. Plus, because I do essentially informal education, I have no credentials to teach. I've never taken an education class. I don't have any licenses. I don't know best practices. I just try my best to break things down in ways that can be understood. Yeah, and I'd have to have credentials confirmed for immigration and, by retesting. Yeah, I'd probably have to have my English language credentials reconfirmed. But yeah, no, I don't know how to, isn't science communicator a job? I don't know. I don't know. I know I get X number of points because I have a bachelor's degree. And I know I get X number of points because I've been working. Because even part-time work counts. Yeah. No, that should be a boulder. So yeah, I really... all the places that we've talked about immigrating to, we keep coming back to Canada. And part of it is so close to home. And another part of it is it's not exact, but it's culturally similar enough. But we will probably always stand out as Americans. I will, he might not. Yeah, immigration is hard. Anyway. Yeah, I know. Canadians have better maple syrup for their pancakes. Yeah, I don't know if Favorite Human's really well aware of that, because he keeps trying to avoid that, but I think when it comes down to racism, Canada's one of the better places. I think everyone's just dealing with some nationalism right now, and there's just no there's no good way to deal with it. Drop Bear says, just pronounce about as a boot and say a lot. You'll fit in, I'm sure. Yes, even us Germans. Yeah, because I wanted to go to Germany. Because I was like, hey, look, we can go to Germany. Higher education there is cheap. We can take classes in English. We can probably get a, he, because of his age, he can probably immigrate to Germany easier. And he's like, no, just no. Drop Bear says, New Zealand. I'd move to New Zealand. They seem like a bunch of chillaxed and cool guys. Plus they have better internet than Australia too. Aren't you from New Zealand, Drop Bear? Aren't you from New Zealand? So here's some real talk about New Zealand. Oh, you're Australian and you're telling me to move to New Zealand? Wow. Here's some real talk about New Zealand. A, you don't have to be married to move as a domestic partnership to New Zealand, which is pretty cool. B, immigration there is stupid easy. And C, we don't know the details of racism there. Because I look at, you know, immigrating as, okay, how easy / expensive is this going to be? Favorite Human looks at it as, how much racism am I going to have to encounter? And we've heard stories about Black Americans being mistaken for Africans, and that Africans aren't treated the greatest, but once somebody knows that you're American, suddenly you're cool. Which to us is really weird. So, yeah. That's his concern. New Zealand has been on the list. Essentially, places where English is spoken, national health care. And that's pretty much it. Or places where we could get by with English, like Germany. Yeah, Drop Air Antics says, yeah, hadn't heard that about Kiwiland. Yeah, hey, that's enough. I'm not too sure if it was Kiwiland or Australia or both, or maybe he and I are just transposing them in our heads. But that is something that we have to worry about. DPI says, I heard Hamburg is pretty cool, or generally the North. Favorite Human, unfortunately, or fortunately, looks at politics on the national scale. And he's very concerned about safety. I will just go and be like, okay, cool, you said this part of the country's cool? Alright, hey, who has a, you know, English-speaking master's program? And then how do I pay for that? I would be game. So, I think Norway was a choice, but I don't know how much we can get by with just English. I'd actually have to look at that again. We had a whole list. Yeah, that's another part. Norway and Sweden are pretty pricey. Sweden definitely has some nationalism going on. I don't know how to mark this. We'll mark it like that. And yeah. Yeah, that whole pesky racism thing is what, you know, usually kind of trips us up, because he's very worried about it, and I will just go through life with my protective white girl bubble. Be like, oh yeah, no, I'm fine, I'm cool. Yeah, the pay is pretty high, and I think it's relatively easy, depending on your age, to get a essentially a working visa. New Zealand was one of the easiest countries to get citizenship for. LRO is reaching its 10-year anniversary. That's awesome. That's super awesome. Alright, this is mostly going to be rocks. Rock. It's harder to see shiny things. Oh wait, this is a shiny. We have a shiny! So we want to inspect element. And here it is. We have a shiny. All this NASA stuff is getting pretty old. Better build new stuff. I mean, they're trying. Right now I need to find Discord. Where did I put Discord? There's Discord. I didn't really mark the shiny. It's really tiny too. Top right corner, teeny tiny shiny. There we go. Oh dear, what's it OSIRIS-REx post now? Hey, Walker. Yeah, actually, Drop Bear, that is part of why they called, I think that's honestly part of why they called the mission Artemis. Awesome. Boulder versus Crater. Yes, it is a very ambitious, it's a very ambitious schedule, and I worry about it. But yeah, they definitely want to send a female US astronaut to the moon by 2024. And Artemis is the name of the new lunar project, you know, how we had Apollo, and Artemis is the twin sister, yes, sister of Apollo. So, I said ambitious, right? Ambious. Yeah, it does sound dangerous. I don't know if they're going to be able to get all the funding for it. Oh, hey Walker. So did you give up on 7 days too? We've been playing 7 Days to Die. Zombie survival! You said met and take a shower. Yeah, there's a reason why I don't play that alone usually. I mean, I fortified the base and then I was good. 7 days. There are more than 7 ways to die in 7 days. So the premise of the game is every 7th day there's a blood moon. Which, yeah, I know that's not how the moon works in real time. But every 7 days there's a blood moon and hordes of zombies come to attack you. Yeah. It's not a game I like to play by myself because until I get a lot of gear, I'm terrified of zombies. And once, you know, I'm safely behind rows of metal barricades, like spiked barricades, and have a submachine gun, I'm a little bit afraid of the zombies. Oh, excuse me. No, I don't need more coffee before somebody puts in the coffee command. Are you done whining? Alright, we're going to declare this game. Sounds like things are rough for me. Yeah. They're still working on my sweet little neighbor's house on her roof. I'm reminding myself that she is an awesome neighbor. Walker says, hiding out on the roof so they don't come and kill you. DPI finishes that thought with, will only make you die of thirst or starve to death. Not if you have a garden up there. Not if you have a garden up there. Walker and a bunch of them put a bunch of dirt on top of our building, which is an abandoned fire department. And I have a garden on top of the building, and it is amazing. And I was growing trees up there too. Drop Bear says, well, with all this talk of moving overseas, ultimately it doesn't matter where you go, the whole world's screwed. Yes, I'm being cynical and negative, but probably also realistic, feels bad, man. Yeah, but there are other countries we can move to where we won't bankrupt ourselves with medical costs. I am on a different healthcare system than Favorite Human, so I have something that's probably close to what I imagine national healthcare is like. But Favorite Human is not. So, yeah. Yeah. Excuse me. And I will apparently take that healthcare benefit with me no matter where I go in the world, pretty much. And there's even a system to support it in Canada, which makes Canada an even better option. And yeah. The only difference is that I don't think my medications are cleared in all countries. I think they are, though. So, alright, I'm declaring this image done. I did my best to not overmark boulders. This really is a rubble pile. It really, really is. Yeah, no, having national health care, having affordable health care right now is kind of important. So, I'm leaving a note here. Huge success. Yes. You're still waiting to find out if you're back on Medi-Cal? Oof. Oof. No joke. One of the things that scared me the most about a few actually quite important life transitions was that, am I going to have healthcare? Or how is my healthcare going to be affected by this? And the good news is that it's pretty much not, ever. The 20% Medicare doesn't cover is eating away at my budget. Ouch, yeah. Yeah. Trying to think of a good example. So, medications in a good number parts of the world are like under 10 units of whatever currency, right? Which is usually pretty reasonable. So I think in Canada, a monthly prescription is under $8 a month. I know through TRICARE, dependents prescriptions are generally $8 a month, but the actual cost of that medication, also through the VA, a lot of prescriptions are $8 a month. The cost of that medication can be literally hundreds of dollars if you weren't getting it through the healthcare. So, like, Favorite Human has asthma. I am on a couple medications myself. And the price of his asthma inhaler, like, he had to switch inhalers from the stuff that he really liked. And it really worked well for him because it turned out to be like something like $100 a month or $300 for a month worth of inhalers. He had to switch to something that he doesn't like nearly as much. It works, but it's not his preferred medication. So you have stuff like that's going on. My nephew also has asthma, Flamelord. He had to switch. His insurance stopped covering a certain inhaler, so he had to switch to a different one that's really not working for him. He sounds awful. Why am I marking all of these as boulders? I know better than that. So yeah. It's weird. It's weird. Paranor says, deciding to die of starvation by choosing to get your insulin so you don't die is just wrong. There are people that are not using all the insulin they should be using because they're trying to make it last longer. There are people talking about going and buying insulin that would be prescribed for like dogs or cats. Like diabetic dogs or cats. Because yes, those exist. There's people learning to, you know, fill their own needles instead of using like the auto injectors, which are really nice. And I guess different insulin has different life expectancies, so yeah. Miss Town says, my mom's inhaler isn't covered. It costs over $200 a month. Yeah. That's some of the issues we're dealing with. Is just how expensive everything, by everything I mean healthcare is, and there's just no getting away from the costs. So we're just going to, you know, zen out and mark Bennu. It is unnecessarily expensive, and the companies are like, well, this is how we make back our money from developing the drug, is by gouging US markets. So, yeah. There's been reports of literal collusion among generic drug makers and their markets, like saying, oh, you take this market, well, I'll take this market. I'm not joking. There was an issue a couple years ago with generic bupropion or Wellbutrin not having the same effect as name brand, and by law they should be exactly the same in their effect. So yeah, it's complicated. I think a lot of the US and a lot of the world can be just summed up by it's complicated. I know, Tink. We'll take care of that later. Like, a lot of people are like, oh, I want to move here, da da da. I'm like, do you live in a place with national health care? Yes? Then stay there. So, I mean, just a silly thing like getting Juneteenth nationally recognized has been met with pushback. So, yeah, imagine literally anything to do with healthcare. DPI says, one thing that is screwed up here is what? National health care? Hey, Susie. You had fun at the orthodontist? Really? Really? I don't ever recall any of my trips to the orthodontist being fun. It's going. This is what, my second or third image? I've lost count, which is probably a good thing. We've just been chatting away about random things. Everything from Juneteenth to immigration to healthcare. Oh, this is my third image. Awesome. To... yeah. Oh, wow. I didn't know that. DPI says medicine prices in Germany are silly. Or sillily. I don't know. Is that a word? Sillily? Anyways, they're stupid expensive is how I would say it in English. Medicine prices in Germany are stupid expensive. Expensive enough that there is a market for people re-importing German medicine products from other European countries back to Germany. So they go to other countries in the EU, buy this German medication, and bring it back home. That actually sounds like what some Americans do with crossing the border to Canada to get their medication. or going to Mexico and having like dental work done, because it's that much cheaper. Midtown says, and Mexico. Yep. It is stupid. It is stupid. I think there's even a Canadian pharmacy that will literally acts as a mail order pharmacy, and you just have to send your stuff to them. Yeah, it's not heavy, or it's not been a light discussion. It's literally been kind of heavy topics. I'm sure we've scared some people off. But we're still marking! This is like one big boulder. I'm just gonna do that. Yeah, that mail order meds to the US, yeah. Another weird thing with that they like to do with, this is a very triangular rock that I'm going to mark, that I do with, or that they do with medication here, is that for short-term medications, the norm is to go to the pharmacy and get it filled, right? Right. If you're starting a long-term medication, you go to the pharmacy and get it filled, right? Right. And you walk out with it. What they've essentially started forcing people to do is get them mailed to you, which can work, but when you do that, you also get 3 months versus 1 month. Favorite Human was used to running to the pharmacy once every couple months and getting like 3 months worth of inhalers. Or even, you know, I think for a while his mom was going every month for him and getting a month's worth of inhalers. And they pretty much were like, no, you need to switch over to this mail order plan. Which I get it. It relieves a lot of effort or a lot of work from the walk-in pharmacies. It you know, it generally costs less, but they're, you know, essentially kind of strong-arming you by, well, you can pay this price, pay a whole lot more, or you can pay this price and have it mailed to you. So yeah. Ay, ay, ay. But, and that's actually how I get my medication, is in the mail. And it just so happens that I go see my med person once every 3 months. And once every 3 months, you know, I'll go in, she'll renew everything for me, and then I essentially just come home and there's medication waiting for me at the back. Ay, ay, ay. Mythtown says, have a bad joke. 2 goldfish are in a tank. One looks to the other and says, you man the guns while I drive. Oh, am I going to hate that image if I click on it? Also, I don't know what browser it's going to open in. Bottom right. Oh, for you? Yes, exactly, Susie. I didn't like it at first, but now everything works out, and I even figured out that I could call and renew and order my next prescription as soon as my other ones came in, and they would mail it out at the selected time. So to me, that was awesome, but another part of me is like, why don't they just auto do it? Why do I have to call in a renewal? Somebody other than Annie, please check. DPI has been doing this for so long, he's seeing seeing faces in the rocks. But yeah, when insurance doesn't want to cooperate with mail order, it's a pain. There's not even any more coffee here for me to drink. I have to make more. Yeah, no, there's no more coffee here. There's like... I had a shot this morning. And then... Favorite Human took the rest of it. So now I have to brew more coffee tonight. Which shouldn't be too big of a deal. Because I know there's a rock there. Okay, I am so glad 15 sets of eyes, or another 14 sets of eyes are going to look at this because... I don't know. Part of me almost thinks that this looks like a crater, but it's not quite circular enough. So we're just gonna leave that one be. Oof. Alright. I should really order stuff from the Redbubble store. Some of the shirt designs are really cute. Are you done? Come here. Come here. Yeah, what's up, good boy? You want a Cheerio? Because you were good? He's like, yes, Mom. Take it. Do you want a Cheerio, Tinker? Come here. Come here, Tinker. Let me close this. Come here, Tink. I think she's afraid I'm going to pick her up and put her in my lap. And then she can't bark at anything. I don't even know if I can even get them on camera. Let me see about that. There. Do your cute thing and be on camera. Alright, I am going to hit submit on this image because, quite frankly, I'm tired of looking at it. Oof, 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 yeah. This is a good time to enjoy the dogs. You really enjoy seeing Puck and Tinker on screen, don't you, DPI? There's somebody earlier that's like, oh, Puck! During Daily Space, Puck! Is he named after the Shakespeare play? I was like, yup, somebody got it. They are cute. They are adorable. Even when Tinker's covered in mud and bloody from fighting a groundhog. Dachshund, badger dog, and a groundhog, I guess, is kind of the same size as a badger. So Stella and Eddie are adorable. Does she still have the foster at her house too? You'd think I would know this. They might still have the foster at their house. I just don't think the foster comes up and hangs in the attic. You can eat all the Cheerios. There's so many Cheerios stuck on coats, it's hilarious. Oof. Alright. So Paranor said I did 3 images. And I usually only do 3. I think I'm going to power through a 4th, but I am definitely fatigued from doing 3. Definitely fatigued. Leave it at 3? Okay. Part of me is like, I know a bunch of you will do like, you've said you do like 5 images a day. And I can't do 5 images. Alright, so let's see. What number are we at? We're at 635. I don't remember what image number we were at earlier today. Oops. Come on. Oh no, I broke it. There, we'll do that. So we're at 1635, which... it's actually... do I still have the calculator up? I don't know if I have the calculator up anymore. Hold on. Calculator. So, 2250 minus 1635. We're at 615 images away from halfway. So, and 1635 divided by 4500 is 36.33%. But I know that number actually is, let me clear this. 1635 divided by 4509. Look at me numbering. So yeah, we're at 36%. So that's better. I can't remember what percentage we were at earlier, but that's better. Let's see if I can pull that up real quick. Oof, oof, oof. And oh no, we've since Daily Space and now we've completed at least 20 images. So that's actually pretty cool. That's actually pretty cool. I can do get a better number. So 4509 minus 1635. I think, I don't know if my numbers, because I did my numbers based off of the real number, and I did my numbers just now off of the fake number, and it's 9 images differently. So that minus 1635. Oh no, we were at 636 images away from being halfway done at noon, and we are now at 620 images. So yeah, we got 15. That's what I was afraid of. We actually got closer to 16 images done, but that's still pretty good. This is why I don't trust my normal thing, because that 4 actually does make a difference. So, but yeah, we're closer. We're closer. And let's see, what time tomorrow? So tomorrow at Daily Space Time we have the press conference, which is a telecon, which we're going to dial into, and I don't think I'll be able to get you in, images or anything. They're going to email out information tonight as well as a reminder. And let's see, is there anything? Nope, nothing yet. And then later that day, that evening, we'll have... No, I know, we'll have the launch. Yeah, all the images are for sure in there now. It did end up being 9 over the 4500, which to some people doesn't really matter, to some people it really does. As a bit of unrelated news, I ordered glasses last night that have an anti-reflective coating. So we'll have those soon. That'll be nice. I won't have to do weird things to my glasses that make certain people shudder. And I think that's it. I'm pretty tired. This is pretty draining. This is pretty draining. But yeah, we did it. We got through 3 images together, which is actually pretty cool. Launch tonight. Hi, David. Breaking a take. Ha 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 ha. No, the launch is tomorrow night. Today is June 19th here in the US, and the launch is scheduled for June 20th at 2100 hours 43 minutes UTC. So that is solidly 5:43 p.m. Eastern Time. So no launch tonight. All the launches pretty much start tomorrow. We are going to have 2 days off between launches because we're going to stream the launch tomorrow. We're going to try to stream the launch on the 21st, even though it's kind of early. So I'm actually going to be up earlier than normal for that one because I don't think Dr. Pamela is going to be able to cover that. She's going to be out of town and at a conference. So yeah, that one's on me. And then there's 2 Chinese launches, one on the 22nd, one on the 23rd, which of course, no live video expected. And Falcon Heavy has a launch on the 24th. Oh, I totally missed a rocket launch. I really did. On the 24th, that's a evening launch. Oh, it's the 24th for East Coast. For UTC, it's the 25th at 3:30 a.m. Oh, excuse me. And the 25th is another Chinese launch, which I did not talk about today because there were just that many launches. But yeah, we're expecting 3 Chinese launches this week, and 1 American, 1 European, and 1 Russian. So it's a busy launch week. And then there's 2 launches scheduled right now for the 27th. One of them, hold on, do I have this on? Okay. One of them is really late on the 26th, so yeah, we'll probably cover that. And the other one is really early. And I don't know, I honestly don't know. I don't know if we'll be covering that one. And here's why. It's scheduled to take off at 6 a.m. And that's Eastern Time. I do not normally get out of bed before, quite honestly, 9:30. Where does the European launch from? It is an Arianespace launch, and it launches from French Guiana. So that's why I said European, because, yeah. Kourou, yeah. And the Rocket Lab is launching from New Zealand on the 27th, and the Atlas V is launching from Florida. So Florida, 2 different, oh no, it's launching from Cape Canaveral Air Force Base, not Kennedy Space Center. Okay, I was like, what? Yeah, there's that many launches. I think it might actually be 8 launches in 8 days. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then the 27th, so there's 6 launches in 6 days. We have a break on the 26th, and then 2 launches on the 27th. So yeah, 8 launches, 8 days. Yes, French Guiana is in South America. It's really weird. Arianespace is a French-owned private company. It typically launches things, they launch commercial payloads as well as stuff for Europe. And they are launching a satellite for AT&T, which used to be DirecTV. AT&T bought DirecTV. And Eutelsat, which is more European, Middle East, and Africa coverage. So, and yeah, it's an French Guiana is an overseas department region of France. Borders Brazil to the east and south and Suriname to the west. French Guiana is the only territory of the mainland Americas that is still part of a European country. So why do Europeans not launch from Europe? That is a very good question that I don't know the answer to. I know French Guiana is closer to the equator, which probably helps with launches, and launching launching closer to the equator takes a whole lot less effort. So, as DPI says, because it's better to launch near the equator. Yeah, you need a whole lot less fuel. Other than that, I can't really speak intelligently about it. And I'm just kind of scrolling through this whole wiki page. But yeah, it is the only territory in the Americas that's still, you know, under a European country. So that's kind of neat. And now I'm just looking at the thing. So, unless anybody has any other questions, I'm gonna roll the credits. There's a small island. Oh yeah, mainland America. Islands, they don't typically count islands as mainland. It's like saying continental U.S. or mainland instead of like Hawaii or Alaska. Because even though Alaska is connected to the mainland, it's not part of the continental U.S. because you have to cross a whole other country to get to it. But yeah, that is actually pretty fascinating that there's a small island near Canada that's still part of France. 2 islands, Paranor says. See, look at y'all knowing your Canadian geography. Look at y'all knowing your Canadian geography. Oh, cool. We're 13.25% to the goal, which this just amuses me greatly for no good reason. Puck, I think they both landed in your fur. Let me try again. I think they landed in your fur. Alright, so I'm going to get ready to roll the credits because I should still be logged into the dashboard. Hooray, I am. And I don't know who's live right now. Skylius is still live, so we'll raid Skylius. I think she's talking about stars and things. Well, she was talking about stars and things earlier when I popped in. So, yeah, do the abbreviated wall of text. This has been a production of PSI, working in collaboration with Youngstown State University. We are here because of you, so thank you for all of your support, emotional, community, and otherwise. The best way to support us is to inflict us on your friends and family and colleagues. For all of you that do make monetary contributions of one way or another, thank you so much. You pay my paycheck. Seriously. So yes, thank you. And yeah, we archive everything on YouTube. And yeah, I think that's all. I'm really tired. Something unrelated. Fraser linked a tweet about Tesla 3 model conversion to a pickup truck. This greatly amused me. I saw that too, DPI. Yeah, I think that is the most abbreviated version of the credits or of the wall of text that I can do. So thank you, everybody. Keep mapping Bennu and things and stuff. So I will see you later. Bye.